Hey, what are you doing? I still don't know. Spike does not like my intro, by the way. um, she says, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "Y'all. I'm talking to y'all." Anyway, all right. My name is Elena. Welcome to the Nail Files. I do press-on nails usually, most of the time, um, and talk about true crime, murder, mystery, mayhem, sometimes just strange, weird stories. Um, Before we talk about today's story, you guys, I have not been down the makeup aisle in a while because my son is 16. He hates going to the makeup aisle, so I don't go. But he was not in the store with me the other day. Look what I look at. Oh my God. Those are so cute. And I'm late to the game, but I got the e.l.f. Bronzing drop. And then this cute little camo blush. And then these big old earrings, because I do love some big tacky earrings. Today's are Christmas tree gnomes, because Bugs likes gnomes. Anyway, yeah, my fingers are still nudie pooty. But today's story was a mystery, but it's still kind of a mystery. We sort of solved it, but there's still a lot of questions, and you're gonna hear me say, I just don't know. I couldn't find the information 500,000 times in this video. I'm sorry. I got on my own nerves when I was editing it, but I did the best I could. I wanted to tell the story, but there's just not a whole lot of information. So there's a lot of missing pieces, and I'm going to drive you nuts because I'm going to say, I don't know a lot. But anyway, we're going to make these nails. Can you see? Focus. Those ones. Oh, and my camera is way up here. I don't have another stand to get you guys kind of down here where I am. So, ta-da! I'm going to look up at you. They're in here they share a case with a different set of nails because I only do 5 at a time. And I only do 5 at a time because I only wear 5 of the same design at a time. I get bored in a day or two if all 10 of my nails have the same theme on them. I am popping those things off. I've had enough. I'm bored. So if I wear 5 on this hand and then 5 of a different theme over here, I'll get about a week out of them. I swear I wear them. I just never seem to have them on when I'm talking to you guys. I don't know. But anyway, so let's go paint some nails and talk about the Christmas tree lady. Go over there.
Hello. Okay. It's 9 a.m. on December 18th of 1996, and the workers of Pleasant Valley Memorial Park Cemetery in Annandale, Virginia are ready for just another day of work. I'm cleaning up the cemetery, making sure everything's in order. Don't I've never been a cemetery worker. I don't really know what the heck they do. Other than make sure the place is neat and ready for uh visitors and funerals and that kind of stuff. But anyway, so the workers are ready. They expect it to be just another day at work, and surprise, it's not. A little bit after 9 a.m., they discover a body. There's lots of bodies in the cemetery, right? I mean, they're there. But this body wasn't supposed to be there. They weren't in the ground and they weren't in the mausoleum. It was the body of a lady, and she was near the section where the infants and children are buried. It's referred to as um, Babyland. But they found her there. She had a bag over her head and it was secured with tape. She was wearing a red sweater, blue pants, and an Eddie Bauer jacket. Now it's December, so it's cold. She had two notes with her. One looked like the words will come to me. Words, I swear. It looked like the children's prayer. The "Now lay me down to sleep." But the lady had put her own spin on it. She had changed the words. What she wrote was, "Now I lay me down to sleep, soon to drift to the eternal deep. And though I die and shall not wake, sleep sweeter will be than this life I forsake." Um, it just sounded like this lady was miserable. Sounded like she was really tired of life, I guess. Um, and then she had a second note, and this note was her way of making sure that the authorities knew that she had unalived herself. There was no foul play involved. I guess it was important to her to note that she did this herself and uh, don't go looking for a murderer, that kind of thing. But the second note said, "Deceased by own hand, Valium plus alcohol. Prefer no autopsy. Please order cremation with funds provided. Thank you." And she signed it Jane Doe. So she wanted, it was important to her, I guess, that people knew that she had done this to herself, but she didn't want people to know who she was, which is kind of weird. Um, I don't know. But also, it was really hard to find information on it. The story was really interesting to me, but it was really hard to find a lot of information. I'm not sure how much of it is true. I don't know. I can't confirm 100% anything, but it's still an interesting story, so we're going to do it. Okay. And also, guys, I don't know. It said please order cremation with funds provided. I don't know what funds other than she was found with two $50 bills. But I don't know. Um, and this has nothing to do with this story, but do you guys know the difference between being referred to as a Jane or John Doe versus a Jane or John Roe? I'm pretty sure most people do, but in case you don't, Jane or John Doe is given when your identity is not known, when they don't know who the body is, or not necessarily a body, but a victim in a crime. It's usually a body, but not doesn't always have to be. And then they use the name Jane or John Roe when the person's identity is actually known, but they want to be anonymous. So the investigators know who the person is, but that person said, "Hey, I don't want anybody else to know who I am, so don't call my name." Uh, anyway, just, a little fact for you that you didn't ask for, but you got it anyway. Okay. So she wasn't referred to as Jane Doe for very long because she earned a nickname. Uh, well, I mean, I guess is nickname the right word? I don't know, but she earned a different name. They began referring to her as something other than Jane Doe. When she was discovered, they began to call her the Christmas tree lady, which is kind of weird because she's found in a cemetery. Um, but in addition to the two notes that were found with her, she was also found with a backpack. I don't know what was in the backpack. I could never find out what was in the backpack. Um, but she also had headphones, and she actually had headphones on. She was wearing headphones and was listening to a tape, or a cassette, whatever you guys want to call it. I call them tapes. So she was listening to music as she was suffocated. But she was also found with an 8-inch decorated Christmas tree. So I guess the investigators began to refer to her as, well, the Christmas tree lady when they were talking about her. Um, Kind of identified her a little bit more than just Jane Doe. Because I'm sure they have lots of Jane Does. I mean, you know. Anyway, so remember we were taught, I said she was found with two $50 bills. Um, she had it, and I don't know how. I have no idea how they know this information. I can't figure out how they know several things, but it said that she was found with two $50 bills with her. One was for the cemetery, and the other was for the coroner. I can't figure out this information or why. I've dug and dug, and I can't find anything. But the Christmas tree lady was described as a Caucasian female around 5 feet tall and between 50 to 70 years old. They found alcohol and diazepam in her system. The authorities did look into the missing person cases that were nearby, but they couldn't find out who she actually was. Uh, Create a sketch of her, um, and they released it in the year 2000, but still nothing popped up. They still didn't know who she was. She was still just referred to as the Christmas tree lady. So more than 25 years later, on May 11th of 2022, they finally discovered who the Christmas tree lady was. Earlier that year, a Texas lab was able to conduct some tests using her DNA. Now, they couldn't do these tests earlier, I guess, because they're expensive and they didn't have the resources. Um, but after the sketch was released in the year 2000 and people just couldn't figure out who she was, um, people started making donations on her behalf so that they could raise the money and run the tests and discover who she actually is. It was important to people that her family was able to be contacted and let know, that this is your family member, she's deceased, this is what we think happened. People didn't want her to remain anonymous forever. So they raised the money and they got the death. The lab, thanks to the results, were able to find a man named David Meyer, and they were able to confirm that this was Christmas Tree Lady's brother. When David looked at the sketch of the Christmas Tree Lady, he wasn't able to say whether or not it was his sister. He said, I haven't seen her in decades. I'm not really sure. So he mentioned, hey, go ask one of my sisters. So the detectives, the investigators, went to um, David's sister, Annette. And when she looked at the drawing, she said that it was most definitely her sister. She's like, yeah, that's her. Um, so the detectives took a sample of Annette's DNA. The lab ran tests on that DNA and confirmed that Christmas Tree Lady was indeed David and Annette's sister, and they got her name. So Christmas Tree Lady was actually Joyce Meyers Sommers. Joyce Meyers Sommers was born on July 20th of 1927. Her parents were Arthur and Margaret Meyer, and Joyce had 4 siblings. Joyce was raised on a farm in Iowa, and she attended Iowa State University. After university, Joyce relocated to Los Angeles to work at 17 Magazine. I read she went. Sorry. I read that while she was in Los Angeles, she lived with an aunt. Um, she left her job at 17 Magazine sometime in the 1950s, and she went to work as a second grade teacher at a local Catholic school. Again, guys, I don't know how it translates from the magazine to the Catholic school. I don't know if she was Catholic. I mean, I get, do you have to be Catholic to work at a Catholic school? Maybe, yes. I have no idea. But she went to school at a local Catholic school to be a second grade teacher. She didn't go to school there. What? Words. Anyway, so it was said that Joyce was struggling as a teacher. I mean, I know teachers, they're all riding the struggle bus. So that's not hard to imagine. Um, but they said that she found it hard to keep up with 60 second graders. That's a lot of kids. But I know the schools around here, the class sizes are like between 20 and 25 per class. So I don't know. Um, but around the same time that she was a teacher, she began to see a psychiatrist because I mean her mental health was suffering. Well, part of this, and this psychiatrist sounds interesting. Part of this psychiatrist's treatments were to blame your family, especially your mother, for all of your problems. You got a problem? It's your mom's fault. It's your siblings' fault. It's everybody's fault. It's not yours. That's how we work through this. It's everybody else's fault. I blame you. Uh, so Joyce went to see her mom, and they had a big argument, and she was yelling at her mother at one point in the argument, telling her that all of her issues are her mother's fault. I am this way because of you. You were not a good mother, and my mental health is all your fault. I couldn't find information. I say that a lot in this one. So, I mean, I thought it was an interesting story, though, and we're doing Christmas nails, so Christmas story. But I couldn't get details on what her actual home life was. Are you going to get that sticker off that sheet? Dang. Y'all saw me struggling to get that sticker off that for that nail. Whew. Okay. Um, but I couldn't find the information. I don't know what home life was. I am struggling with these stickers. Oh, you guys keep seeing that little hand up at the top of the screen reach down? That is Spike. She's on the opposite side of me, and she is doing a nail design of her own. On I think she's got one nail. She just got bored and was over there painting a nail. But that's that extra hand you keep seeing at the top of the screen. Um, but I don't know exactly what went on in the home. I don't know. There's her. There it is. But I don't know what her home life actually was. And I spilled the chrome powder. I'm messy. It's fine. It'll come out. But anyway, we don't know what Joyce's home life actually was. Don't peel that all the way off, fool. Um, but after the argument with her mother, Joyce then began to alienate herself from all of her family, not just the mother, from her siblings too. She just stopped visiting. She stopped calling. She did send letters to one of her sisters. I'm not sure which one. Um, but the letters became more and more infrequent. Um, and I think at one point they just stopped altogether. Um, but then in the 1960s, and I don't have exact dates for everything, I apologize. This story was not easy to find. But in the 1960s, Joyce did get married to a man named James E. Sommers. They didn't have any children, and Joyce's family later stated that they had no idea that she had even gotten married or that she had been with a man named James at all. Joyce and James eventually did get divorced in 1977, and after the divorce, she moved down south. She moved to Arizona into a trailer park. Joyce was described as unhappy. She was unhappy altogether with her life. I don't know what she was doing for work, um, but it was said that Joyce didn't like living in a trailer. She wanted a house. Um, Sometime in the 1980s, she asked her siblings to come down for a visit. So they would come down to the trailer park and they visit Joyce. While they while the siblings were all there visiting, Joyce actually asked her siblings, "Hey, why don't you guys build me a house? Or help me buy a house. Go buy me a house." And I mean, her siblings were not well off. They were like, "Dude, we can't do that. We can't afford to build you a house or buy you a house." And this supposedly upset Joyce because she didn't like living in a trailer park. She didn't like trailer park life. You guys, I've seen people turn trailers into really pretty houses. Like, they're really cute. But Joyce didn't think that way. Okay. She was like, no, no, this life isn't for me. So when the siblings said, hey, what the heck? We can't do that for you, she became upset. And this was the last time she saw any of her family. She cut them all off. She was like, you're not going to buy me a house. You're not going to build me a house. Get out of here. I don't want to talk to you no more. Goodbye. So they never saw each other again. And then in the early 90s, well, I said never. Yeah, never. So in the early 90s, one of her brothers, not David, traveled to Tucson to try and find Joyce. They were worried about her. It's been a long time since we've seen or heard from her. They didn't necessarily like the way things ended, but I mean, come on, people, we can't just run around buying and building houses for everybody. I get it. I get it. I mean, you have to say no. But so he comes down to Tucson to try and find Joyce, gets to her trailer, and there's nobody there. The trailer is abandoned. But he did find 4 copies of a book that Joyce had written and had self published. And I read that the 4 copies of this book were in her refrigerator. I mean, that's not where I keep my books, but I mean, whatever. If that's where you want it to go, then you put it there. Hey, you do you. Um, I'm not making fun of it. I just don't. I don't know if that's true either. I don't know how much of what information I was able to find is 100% true, other than there was a body and we did find her name and she does have siblings and these were her parents. But as for the story, I'm just telling you the information that I found. I thought it was interesting. But anyway, so supposedly the 4 copies of the book were in the refrigerator. I also read that she self-published, but she self-published under a different name, a pseudonym. Um, but the book was called The Target Child, and in the book she wrote about her traumatic upbringing. Um, Joyce's siblings were confused by that because they state that they only remember a warm and loving home growing up, that they don't remember any kind of traumatic life. Um, but the siblings and Joyce's ex-husband hired a private investigator because they wanted to find Joyce. They were worried about her. So the private investigator finds evidence that Joyce had settled down in Alexandria, Virginia. So she had gone to the east. Um, she settled down here sometime in the early 90s, but that's where the information stopped. They could not find anything else after her moving there. Um, so the search was just it ended. It came to a halt. Um, it took the detectives over 25 years to figure out who the Christmas tree lady was. And we still have a lot of unanswered questions about her. We don't know. There's a lot of gaps in the story. A lot of gaps. And I tried my best to fill them, but there's nothing there. There's no information there. Did y'all hear the way I said nothing? What in the world? Anyway, so we don't know why. That's still a big question, and I don't know that anybody will ever be able to find out why. Why did she commit suicide? Why did she commit suicide so close to Christmas? Why did she commit suicide in the infants and children's section, or Babyland? Why in that specific cemetery? Why the Christmas tree? The music kind of makes sense. because you're suffocating yourself. That is a insane way to unalive yourself. That is slow. I mean, I guess it's slow. I can't imagine. But I just don't see that being the best way to go out. That and drowning. Um, so I guess, and this is just my guess, the music was to stay calm. I mean, I mean, she had the alcohol and Valium in her system too, so I guess that also keeps you from panicking. But that's my thought on the headset and the cassette player. And I don't know what music she was listening to. I'm nosy. I want to know. But so we have all these questions about why. Some people have said that she unalived herself there because it was a reference to her belief that parental abuse can permanently damage children. But then there's another theory, and there's lots of theories around this whole thing. But one website said that Joyce had a large scar across her stomach that was similar to the type that you get from having a C section. But Joyce never had any children, right? And we'll probably never know why. And I also needed to note I can't find her book, The Target Child, anywhere. I see lots of websites talking about it, but not the book. So I don't know if it was released to the whole public. I don't know. I don't know. But I also think it's kind of weird that she had 4 copies of the book and 4 siblings. So it's kind of like, hey guys, here's a little hint to you. But I don't know. This story was so hard to find information on, and I am so sorry about that. But I would like to know your thoughts. What do you think happened? Why do you think she did what she did and where she did it? Leave them in the comment section below, and I hope you will join me next time here on the Nail Files. Bye.